If you want the Raiders to bring back quarterback Jarrett Stidham, throw some threes down in the chat right now because I think you're going to like today's episode of the Raiders Report. Mitchell Renz here from Chat Sports, and we're going to be getting into the latest around Stidham. Could the Raiders potentially bring him back? And then at the very end of the show, because I do think that it's likely that number 3 is on the team, and I'll get into my plan of if I was McDaniels, if I was Ziegler, how I would make it work with him back on this Raiders roster. But the latest report out there is that the Raiders could potentially bring him back. And it shouldn't surprise a lot of people out there. We got to be able to face the facts. He's a McDaniels guy. He knows the system. So whether you're looking at a rookie or whether you're trying to bring in somebody else, no matter what, you need somebody who knows the system. This is what Dave Ziegler had to say on re-signing Stidham. We'll see how it ends up working out, but ultimately, we would like Jarrett to be a Raider going forward. The reason why you want Jarrett Stidham to be a Raider going forward is because whether he's your starter or whether he's somebody that you could just put up as a backup, you need to be able to have that reliable dude like you saw the way he played actually in this game right here against the San Francisco 49ers, but then also you need somebody who you can rely upon in practice because they have talked about depth so much this offseason. You need to make sure that your guys are also you got a good quarterback that knows the system in practice to ultimately help out that depth. If you're looking for more Raiders analysis all offseason long, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you got those notifications turned on because when reports come out, when stories come out, I'm going to cover it, but I also want to be able to give my 2 cents. I do a lot of homework on this team, and I believe that I know this organization well. So if you want to hear my side of it, make sure you're subscribed. Let's go to now with the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Had to say on re-signing Stidham. Stidham, who played for Josh McDaniels and Ziegler in New England, was acquired by the Raiders last offseason after McDaniels and Ziegler were hired. He replaced Derek Carr for the final 2 games last season, and while the Raiders lost both games, he performed well enough to warrant consideration for a new contract. I agree that he deserves new contract, but if you think that he's going to get anything more than $10 million, $5 million, I do think you're a little bit crazy. Did the Raiders' offense perform better with Stidham against the 49ers? No doubt about it. Did they lose? Yeah, it definitely sucks. But keeping Stidham helps you be cheap at the quarterback position, while then, guess what? Building a defense, building a team, which is something that this team definitely needs to do. More here from Raiders general manager Dave Ziegler on re-signing Stidham. We're happy with what he did, and he's a player. Obviously, because of his experience in the system, there's value in that. There's always going to be value in that. And when you look at the 2 games that he had last year, one was against the Niners, and he was great. To be honest with you, I think it was the best offensive game the Raiders played the entire year, even with Derek Carr. But what scares me with Stidham, and the reason why I will continue to say that he's not a top 40 quarterback, is because the talent's not 100% there. His ability to read defenses is not 100% there. And you gave one defensive coach, or basically also gave Andy Reid, 1 week to be able to scheme for him, and let's face it, Stidham really struggled against Kansas City in a game that they lost 31-13. He threw for 219 yards, a touchdown, 2 interceptions. Overall, though, I mean, you need to be able to find a guy that you can rely on. And what's funny is McDaniels the other day at the Combine made a joke about their quarterback situation, and he flat out said, the only dude under contract right now is Chase Garbers. Is there a lot of speculation of what this team could potentially do in the draft? Yes. Could they potentially trade up to get their guy? Yeah, absolutely. But you need to add another QB, and no disrespect to Chase Garbers, he's not the future of the Raiders. And no disrespect to Jarrett Stidham. He's not the future of the Raiders. But finding that right guy, just in case the main dude goes down, it is very important. It's the quarterback position after all. Coming up next here on the Raiders Report, my plan for Jarrett Stidham, where if I was the Raiders, how would I make it work? How could you ensure that by bringing back Stidham is the right thing for this team? Now, today's Jarrett Stidham segment, it is presented by Athletic Greens, so a major shout out to them for sponsoring the Raiders Report. I take AG1 by Athletic Greens literally every day. Get comprehensive and convenient daily nutrition at athleticgreens.com/chatsports. I gave AG1 a try because I wanted immune system support and wanted a supplement that actually tastes great. I take AG1 in the morning and it makes me feel ready ready to take on my day. My grandma always said the early bird gets the worm, and AG1 inspires and motivates me to get as many worms as possible every day. Huge shout out to Grams. AG1 really helps me getting my day started, getting out of bed, especially after some of our crazy shows. Not going to lie to y'all, it's not an easy thing to do. And I'm a person who likes and needs a routine. AG1 helps me stick to my healthy routine. Wake up early, take my AG1, take Chuck for a walk, and then hit the gym before work. Covering my nutritional basis for the day literally couldn't be easier, which is why I trust Athletic Greens. I just mix 1 small scoop of AG1 with water and drink it first thing in the morning. Done! I also like it because it costs less than $3 a day. That's pretty good if you ask me. It's a really effective daily habit with the highest quality sourced ingredients. It is a win-win. If a comprehensive solution is what you need for your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. So, what are you waiting for? Go to athleticgreens.com/chatsports. That's athleticgreens.com/chatsports. Check it out. It's going to be in the comments and in the description of today's video. I will recommend, if some people don't like the way that it tastes necessarily with water, you can also use it with apple juice. I've seen that that's a very common thing here at the Chat Sports Studios. I drink it with water, though. I'm a man. I'm 30. Let's go to my Jarrett Stidham plan. Re-sign him as a cheap backup. I'm not trying to throw a lot of dollar bills at Stidham. That's not what I want to do. But I do understand that having him on your team, it does. It helps out whoever you decide to bring in. And if you're asking me, well, how much are you going to bring him in for? If any team gives him more than $4 million, I will be shocked. I would offer him $2 million to be the Raiders' backup quarterback that has some value. I mean, $2 million. I mean, let's be real. You offer me $2 million today, I'm going to take that job. Let's go to number 2 here. The next thing that you could potentially do with Stidham. You start him for 1 year and then groom a rookie. I don't think that every rookie in this draft falls into this category, so let's get that out of the way. If you trade up for a quarterback, like, this one is not going to happen. This is what's going to happen. Like, in terms of what quarterbacks would I start right away? Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud. To me, those are the top 2 guys most ready, and if the Raiders take one of those 2 dudes, they're going to start right away. However, though, the start one for a year, groom a rookie, that falls more underneath the Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, Hendon Hooker train, and the fact that the Raiders have met with all 5 of these quarterbacks at the Combine, I do think that this is a possibility of, do you draft a guy and then have Stidham kind of groom him for 1 year? Or your other option is if you want to bring in Stidham and you don't love any of the prospects after the meetings, or you don't get a guy that falls to you at number 7, you could just start Stidham, know that you're going to be bad, but then you're like, we're going to do whatever it takes humanly possible to take a quarterback in 2024. And if Stidham starts, you're going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. Sorry, hate to break it to you. It's just the way that it's going to be. You would then have a shot to either get a Caleb Williams or to get a guy like Drake Maye, who will, in my personal opinion, be the top 2 quarterbacks, be both the number 1 and number 2 overall pick. I like Drake Maye a little bit more. I just think that he would be a better fit in the NFL, though Caleb Williams does probably have a little bit of the higher upside. So my Jarrett Stidham plan, if you want him back, because the more and more people I talk to, the more reports that continue to come out, it does sound like Stidham is going to be a quarterback that is more than likely on this team. This is the plan I would do. The one that I like the most is re-sign him as a cheap backup. I don't want him starting on my team because I still want to be able to root for the team to win. But if you were to ask me, all right, Mitch, Raiders win a Super Bowl 10 years from now, which plan did you go with? I think the one that is probably the most likely is this one or this one. So take that with what you want. Coming up next here on the show, there's been other quarterbacks also linked to Las Vegas in free agency. Let's say the Raiders don't get Stidham, or Stidham, wants more money, goes somewhere else. The 2 other quarterbacks that can continue to be thrown out in connection, and it's been reported that the Raiders are in fact interested in both of these guys, and it should surprise nobody. 1, Jacoby Brissett. Why? He's got his ties with Josh McDaniels, Dave Ziegler. Remember, they played with each other, giggity, all the way back in their time in New England. And then also Jimmy Garoppolo. Garoppolo's another fit. The biggest difference, though, is you got Stidham, who is guaranteed going to make less than $4 million. Jacoby Brissett probably comes somewhere around $10 million a year. And the Garoppolo, I would guess, is $15, $20 million a year. I don't want to spend that much at the QB spot if realistically, they don't put you in that playoff caliber window. To me, the Raiders are better off going cheap with the rookie and then also going cheap with Stidham instead of paying one of those two guys. But I want to know from you, if the Raiders were to sign a free agent quarterback, who do you think they would want? Like, it's not who's the most likely. It's who do you think they honestly want? To me, the guy that I think that they want, because the more people I talk to from the sources we have at the Combine, it sounds like the Raiders are going to draft a QB. So with that being said, whoever the cheapest option is, it's probably going to be Jarrett Stidham. That's the guy I pick. That's the quarterback I look at a free agency. Whoever's the cheapest, and he knows the system, you traded for him before, he's played with you in New England, he's played with you in Las Vegas. That's the type of QB that I want to help groom my quarterback. Because the other thing Stidham's going to do is he's not going to offer a lot of competition. Stidham knows his role, and he knows his job is to make sure that next guy takes over. Very similar to what you saw Kansas City do with Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes. That's the reason why I think going with Jarrett Stidham is something that will happen this offseason for the Raiders.